Hey, February 25th, we have the BRAYN Roundtable. We're going to be talking about some exciting things. Jeff, what is the top thing we're going to be talking about that you are excited to discuss?
Top thing for me would probably be 174 fix and all of the craziness going on in Congress right now with legislation, changeover of administration, first 100 days, what that's going to look like. So there's just a lot of moving parts right now. There's a huge push in Congress and from the Trump administration to at least get an immigration bill on the floor in the first 100 days or so. Probably going to use the budget reconciliation process. That's what we keep hearing over and over again. Hopefully, we see both that and a 174 and larger tax bill follow that soon thereafter. It's possible they're combined into a single bill, but more than likely they're going to want to get a win, and it's easier to do that with a smaller bill. So we'll see how that plays out, but I'm excited to talk about that, see what that means for our clients. Hopefully 174 is at least repealed on a go-forward basis, which would mean hopefully for 2025 tax year, they wouldn't have to amortize those expenses. So we're keeping our ear to the streets, and hearing what things are coming down the pipe from ACDC, AIA, and others, and excited to share that.
Thanks, Jeff. Kevin, what about you? What are you most excited to talk about at our upcoming webinar?
I think similar to Jeff, a lot of what we do relies on this legislation that we're looking forward to. And so,
One big, beautiful bill.
one big, beautiful bill. And I think talking a little bit about what we're hearing from industry, related to, the Inflation Reduction Act, tax incentives, and the growth that we've seen there, the just the explosion of projects and the money that's flowing there, how that may get affected, through legislation or otherwise in the coming months is of high interest, amongst our clients and CPA firms we work with. And so just kind of talking through, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're concerned about, and how to navigate that is, I think will be something that everyone would be interested in.
Yeah, I agree. Young, what say you? What's of most
Yeah,
interest right now that you're excited to talk about?
to echo what Jeff and Kevin said, 174, that's a big issue, right? For a lot of our clients, what that looks like for us and for our clients from the next few months, but also changes, hopefully, for the bonus depreciation rules, right? Because it
Mm.
keeps on getting cut down by 20% and 20%. And hopefully there will be a fix as we look forward to 2025, and also to kind of bring forth more awareness to the energy incentives such as 179D and 45L/Energy Star. There's still a lot of people who are not aware of it, but also the fact that you can layer one incentive on top of the other, right? So that's another thing that I would really like to kind of hone in and make sure that there is exposure to that realm.
I think that's a really, really good point, Young. Couple of the things that I think that are exciting to talk about, in addition to everything y'all mentioned, is some recent case law. Now, one is going to be a tax court case, and this is the Phoenix Design Group case. And I think it is just so important to be aware of this because if you are unaware, it's guaranteed that the tax authorities will use this as a mallet to scare the heck out of you or whatnot. So understanding the nuances of the case, right? The facts of the case, the holding of the case, how this applies to you, I think is critical. Jeff, Kevin, your thoughts on that case?
Sure. I think Phoenix Design, it's not a great case for engineering firms, architecture firms, but I think it gives more of a roadmap for those firms to navigate how to properly document and substantiate claims. If anything, I think it's really it's a guidepost to say you're not going to get by using blanket statements. That's not going to work. That the uncertainty that we encountered is the final design or final appropriate design. Really need to dig into a project and understand the qualifying activities, get down to that next level, ask the right questions during a study. So I think that's really the main takeaway on Phoenix Design. It's really just getting better about documentation.
What about, are we going to be discussing the new Texas case, Jeff, Kevin?
I mean, we certainly can. It's been kind of a new revelation to us, even though it's not a quote unquote new case. Texas has been awful for all intents and purposes in terms of processing R&D tax credit claims, both amended refund claims and timely filed audits. But we are aware of a case that they are sort of hanging their hat on at this point, and we're digging more into that. It's Ryan v. Hager, and we'll be, I'm sure, putting out an article here in the next couple of weeks on that as we dig more into it. But for all intents and purposes, they've stated the new rules. At this point, I don't know how new they are, but past 3 years ago or so by the comptroller's office saying that designs and services cannot be considered business components. The case apparently has confirmed that, even though we think it's a gross overreach of the comptroller's powers and basically making law. So I think it has some serious implications for A&E firms or any other service firms outside of software as a service, maybe. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'm sure we'll have something additional coming out in the coming weeks.
Let's switch gears really quick. It is mid-February. It's February 17th today. What advice and guidance do we want to give to our wonderful CPA friends and network across the United States? Jeff, you go first. We'll go in reverse order.
So message to everybody is what you're saying.
Get some sleep.
Yeah,
Get some sleep
so
every
hey,
once in
they're
a while.
hitting the books. They're putting on the green visor. They're shutting their doors. They kind of don't want to hear from anybody until after April 15th this year. But there's a lot to think about, right? I mean, the first thing that I would say, Jeff, is, hey, look at our checklist. If you don't have our checklist, let us know. We'll put a paper copy in front of you or send you our updated electronic copy. But go through this checklist. If you have a client in manufacturing, go over here. Have they been looking at R&D? Do they have a new facility? Cost segregation potentially. Is it climate controlled and it's a new facility, or additions, maybe 179D? Look at the checklist and see if some things apply. I would also say there's been, unfortunately, a lot of disaster declarations across the United States. Do you have any clients where property has been damaged in fires or floods or anything like that? Now we need to maybe do a cost segregation checkup on that property, and evaluate what can be depreciated. Is there a partial disposition available, and so forth? What are your thoughts on that, going through the checklist?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and Yong kind of touched on this earlier. We have some developer clients that are layering as many as 4 or 5 of our incentives together. Kevin can probably talk to some as well that are even more specialized in 45V and some of the other hydrogen incentives. But certainly on the developer side, it's something to look at. You can layer 45L, 179D, cost seg, investment tax credits. All in the same project, and they all build on each other. And so that would be my main thing. Anybody who's working with property developers, real estate investors, certainly something to look at.
Kevin,
Well, it's in the
number one
webinar.
thing for CPAs to be aware of as they start their busy season.
Well, our webinar is next week, so look for that.
That is number one.
Yeah. And send us a message. What do you want to hear? What questions do you have or concerns? What are your clients saying? Um, we want to tailor this thing to what you guys want to hear, so let us know. Um, but yeah, I think that, you know, 2025, like a lot of years recently, is probably going to require some patience just because of legislation and because things are going to change. Um, and advising clients to that effect. Stay tuned, look for our emails and newsletters and messaging, social media, as we hear things, as we're talking to our partners in Washington and others in industry, we try to get that information out and communicate it. Um, Give us a call if you've got a client with a question or a concern. Um, a tax liability, they're looking for some way to save some money going into the summer. Brain's here to help.
Young. Number
Yeah,
one
just
thing
like
CPA should be aware of.
Yeah, just like Jeff and Kevin mentioned, always use, and also you, Brady, always use that checklist, right? Be that trusted advisor. Be that advisor that your clients always turn to. And how you could do that is by looking at that checklist and looking out for the best interest of your clients. Number one. Number two, patience. As laws are being looked at and potential changes are occurring, just patience, right? So maybe you might not, maybe file a little bit later, right? So have a broader perspective and take a step back and just see, what's out there that could potentially benefit your clients.
All right. All right. Well, I appreciate that, everybody. Well, I'm excited to come together again next week, February 25th, and present this webinar to everybody. I believe they're going to love it. So until next time.